Welcome to the deep dive. You're here because you want to get smart fast on something cool, and that's what we do.
Yeah, absolutely.
And today, the subject you've brought to us, thanks for sharing this guide, by the way, is capoeira. Specifically, the essential guide to mastering the art.
Looks like a great starting point. And yeah, our mission here is to really pull out the most interesting, the most important bits for you.
Right.
We'll look at where it came from, what it's trying to achieve, the aims, then the two main styles, how you actually train, the music, which is huge, and the game itself.
And this table of contents you sent over, it like perfectly maps out what the book covers. So that's our roadmap too.
Makes sense.
Okay, so straight off the bat, the introduction dives right into that question that, well, it definitely popped into my head. I bet it does for most people.
Which is?
Is capoeira a dance or is it a fight? Is it a martial art? Let's unpack that because it's not simple, is it?
No, not at all. And what's really cool is as the guide describes it. It says it's an expressive art form.
Expressive art form. Okay.
Yeah, weaving together dance, acrobatics, fighting techniques, and music. It's this whole package.
So not really about points or like knocking someone out like in some martial arts?
Exactly. That's not the main focus, even though the guide is clear that, yeah, those movements, those kicks, they can be very effective for self-defense. It's just a unique blend.
It really does blur the lines.
Hmm?
And the intro also talks about, why people get into it, the benefits.
Oh, yeah. Physically, it mentions improvements in like strength, flexibility, reflexes.
Yeah,
Stuff we could probably all use more of.
definitely. Better reflexes. Yes, please.
And it's not just physical. The guide highlights the cultural side too. Learning Portuguese, Brazilian traditions, the history. It's deep.
Even the name capoeira apparently has a few possible origins, right? From the Tupi language.
One idea is means a cleared area of jungle, which makes sense for practice space.
Yeah, or that other one about baskets for carrying birds. Kind of evokes the movement, that fluttering image.
It is. It's a nice image. But probably the most accepted theory, the one the guy leans into, is that it developed among enslaved Africans.
As a form of self-defense, but hidden.
Exactly. Coded self-defense, disguised as dance because, well, open practice of fighting would have been brutally suppressed.
Wow, that's incredible. Using dance and music as a shield for practicing resistance. Ingenious, really.
Born from absolute necessity. But then the guide points out something interesting. After slavery was abolished in Brazil,
You'd think, okay, now it can be practiced openly.
well, no.
Yeah.
It actually faced prohibition. Got associated with like criminal gangs and malandragem, that street cunning we might talk about later.
So this art form born from resistance gets pushed underground again.
Yeah. It shows how powerful it was perceived to be, maybe. That it survived that period in secret.
It really does.
But then things started to shift. The guide mentions the 1930s as a turning point. Figures like Mestre Bimba. He was crucial in bringing it out of the shadows, getting it recognized.
Okay, Mestre Bimba, that sounds like a good transition. The development section of the guide focuses on him and another mestre.
Exactly. Mr. Bimba and Mr. Pastinha, the
Yeah.
two key figures who shaped the main styles we see today.
So let's start with Bimba, Manuel dos Reis Machado. He developed capoeira regional.
That's the one. In Bahia, starting around the 1930s. And the guide describes regional as more structured, it's faster, more emphasis on offense, those high kicks.
The kind of flashy kicks maybe people picture first.
Perhaps, yeah. And the guide notes less focus on that malandragem compared to the older forms.
Right, you mentioned malandragem, that street smartness or cunning. Can you expand on that a bit? What does it look like in capoeira?
Well, it's kind of like not just physical skill, but using trickery, unpredictability, reading your opponent, maybe feinting, using wit within the game, the roda. Bimba's regional, while still having elements of strategy, seems to have emphasized a more, let's say, direct athletic power and efficiency.
Got it. And he didn't just create moves, he created a whole system, an academy, rules. Discipline sounds like it was huge for it.
Oh, definitely. The guide lists his 9 commandments, things like no smoking, no drinking, but also things like don't talk during training. Always use the ginga, the basic movement. And interestingly, don't be scared. Stay close. Be relaxed.
Stay close. That seems counterintuitive for fighting.
Well, maybe in the sense of controlling the space, not letting your opponent dictate the distance. It suggests a certain confidence and control he wanted to instill. Very focused.
And there's that story in the guide. The neck lock. As discipline. Yikes.
Yeah, it certainly paints a picture of a very serious, maybe even severe approach to ensuring discipline and effectiveness in his students.
Okay, so that's Bimba and regional. What about the other side, Mr. Pastinha?
Vicente Ferreira Pastinha, he's seen as the great guardian of Capoeira Angola.
Angola being the more traditional style, closer to the African roots.
That's how it's generally understood, yes. The guide describes Angola as slower, more strategic, played much closer to the ground.
Lower movements.
Yeah, lots of groundwork, clever escapes, less of the high acrobatic kicks you might see in regional, and a really strong emphasis on tradition, the philosophy behind it, and something called jogo de dentro.
Jogo de dentro, the inner game. What does that mean practically?
Harder to pin down. It's like focusing on the internal strategy, the conversation between the players and the roda.
Yeah.
It's about intuition, malice in the sense of cleverness, understanding the music deeply, the history. It's less about just the physical exchange and more about the whole ritual and psychological aspect.
Sounds quite profound. And the guide mentions that Angola folks weren't always keen on Bimba's changes.
No, definitely not. There was resistance. They saw Angola as preserving the authentic soul of capoeira, its history and heritage, and viewed Bimba's modernization efforts with some suspicion.
Protecting the roots.
Exactly.
And this difference even shows up in the music.
It does. Bimba's regional used the berimbau, that iconic bow instrument, plus the pandero, which is like a tambourine, and the atabaque drum. But the guide says he removed the coro drum.
Interesting. Why?
The guide doesn't explicitly state why, but perhaps to streamline the sound or focus the rhythm for his faster style. Angola, on the other hand, typically uses a full bateria and ensemble, usually 3 berimbos playing different parts, panderos and atabaque, sometimes other instruments too, like the agogo, double bell, or reco-rico scraper. It creates a different, often more complex rhythmic feel.
So the whole vibe is different musically too. Bimba pushing for structure, athleticism, wider acceptance maybe.
Yeah, he was instrumental in getting capoeira legalized and respected as a national sport.
While Pastinha was holding down the fort for tradition, the deeper meanings.
Precisely. And the guide makes it clear both legacies are incredibly important. Both styles are alive and well, practiced all over the world now. It shows how an art can evolve in different directions.
Fascinating stuff. Okay, let's shift gears to the training section. If someone listening is thinking, wow, this sounds cool, maybe I should try it, what does the guide say about getting started?
Well, first off, it emphasizes that learning capoeira properly takes serious effort and consistency. It's not something you just dabble in if you want to get good. Requires dedication.
Makes sense? And safety. Some of those moves look pretty intense.
The guide addresses that. It says capoeira is generally safe if, and this is the important part, if it's practiced with awareness and good technique.
So find a good teacher.
Absolutely crucial. Someone who emphasizes the fundamentals, safety, and progresses you step by step. Like any physical art, there are risks, but good instruction minimizes them.
The guide mentions an approach to training. What's that about? More than just drills.
Yeah, it talks about mindset, positive thinking, persistence, knowing that it takes time, you won't be amazing overnight.
Patience is key.
Definitely. And it also notes that different masters, different teachers will have their own approach, their own philosophy on teaching.
Then it lays out 3 basic rules of training. What are they?
Pretty fundamental stuff, actually. 1, quality of technique. Better to do it right than do it lots but wrong.
Okay, quality over quantity.
2, appropriate amount of training. You need to train consistently, but also listen to your body. Don't overdo it and get injured. Finding that balance.
Right, rest is important too.
Which leads to 3, good nutrition and rest. Taking care of the body that's doing all the work. It's a whole picture, body and mind.
And speaking of mind, the guide mentions mental benefits too.
It does. It suggests training can boost self-confidence, maybe help reduce fear or insecurity, develop resilience. That ability to face challenges, as the book puts it, with a smile on your face.
I like that. Now, practically speaking, the uniform. What do people typically wear?
Usually, according to the guide, it's white trousers called abades and a t-shirt or maybe a vest top, often specific to the group or school.
And the belt, or it's not a belt, is it?
Right, it's a cordon or corda.
Yeah.
A rope, basically, usually cotton.
And the colors mean different levels, like in karate or judo.
Yes. The colors signify rank or grade level. But unlike some martial arts, where the color system is pretty standardized worldwide, in capoeira, the specific sequence of colors can vary quite a bit between different groups and lineages.
Ah, okay. So one group's blue cordon might not be the exact same level as another's.
Potentially, yeah. It's more specific to that particular school system. And the guide even shows how to tie it. There's a specific way, a particular knot.
So tying the cordem is part of the ritual, too.
Seems like it. It's not just holding your trousers up. It represents your journey, your level, your connection to that group's tradition, a symbol of commitment.
Well, this has been a fantastic deep dive. We've really unpacked a lot from this guide.
We really have. From the origins, that amazing story of resistance and dance,
Right, fight and dance.
to the two big figures, Bimba Pistinha, and the regional and Angola styles they represent.
And the training essentials, the mindset, the rules, even the uniform and the cordem.
Plus the music, which is just inseparable from the art form.
So hopefully for you listening, this gives you a much deeper appreciation for capoeira, way beyond just, cool looking kicks.
Yeah, the guide definitely paints a picture of a really rich, complex art form with a profound history and culture.
Absolutely. So let's leave you with a final thought to chew on. Considering capoeira's history, born from oppression, this incredible mix of fighting, art, music, game, how does it really show the human spirit's power to adapt, to create, to express itself, even in the toughest situations?
That's a great question. And maybe think about what other things out there, other disciplines or practices that seem like one thing on the surface, might actually hold similar hidden depths, similar stories of history and adaptation woven into them.
Something to ponder. Thanks for diving deep with us.